Welcome to Mark 42's WHOniverse, Doctor WHOniverse, that is. I'm Mark Baumgarten, and with me today are...
Tricia Helm.
And comrade Eduardo M Freyre of the glorious Doctor Who fandom.
Oh boy, do we have Chekhov on tonight? Is Walter Koenig here? Okay, Nick. Yeah, thank you. And we also have a special guest.
My name is Mark Baumgarten. No, you're Mark Baumgarten.
Yeah, I'm Mark Baumgarten.
Okay.
You're making the same mistake you did last time.
Oh, darn.
Now, see, he's the Earth 3 Mark Baumgarten.
Earth 3. Now we're in the DC universe. We're in the WHOniverse. That's christian-basel. Hey, Christian.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm great. I'm hope I am. I'm wearing his pants, so I hope it's me.
I hope it's you too.
Christian-basel's our guest? I thought we were going to have Davos Seaworth as our guest. Oh, man.
Oh, I thought we were going to have Rufus Sewell as our guest.
He wants more money. I checked.
You want more money.
Yeah, just gotta warn you. Thanks for the fact that Liam-Cunningham was in the episode we're going to review. I'm probably going to be making Game of Thrones Davos Seaworth jokes like the entire time.
Go right ahead, and I'll
try.
make Tron jokes.
I will try to contain myself because I know that at least you and Trish need to catch up on the show, but it gets really, really hard. I'll try. I promise.
Okay, well, you can make all the spoiler jokes you want because, well, we'll have the spoiler warning when we get to the part where there is a spoiler warning, but we don't have one right now. In fact, you know what time it is?
It is now time to go over all the Doctor Who news that is fit for a podcast with our Doctor Who correspondent, Patricia Helm. Patricia, what news do we have this week?
Well, hello, everybody. I hope everyone had a good week. And let's see, first on the list is that Jenna-Louise-Coleman, she did an interview, and she was giving a little bit more away about Clara, which is good because I really want to know what is up with this girl. And she was saying that Clara's birthday, the Victorian Clara, her birth date, was the November 23rd.
That's a very special day.
A special day. She says that there's something about that it's more than just a coincidence, and that we will find out what that is all about by the end of the series.
Good.
And she also says that the TARDIS not allowing Clara to come in the Rings of Akatan, that will also be addressed. She says that the TARDIS and Clara have a relationship.
Oh God, no. I'm sorry, but I mean, we covered this last week. The answer would be very simple. She didn't have a key. Why does that now need... I mean, if that's supposed to now be some sort of huge thing...
Well, wait a second.
Well,
you have to think about something else. The TARDIS did not translate for her on Akatan either.
Actually, no, I'm sorry, Mark. Mark.
Yes.
I do have to disagree with you on that one.
Okay.
Okay, while it did not translate for Doreen, it didn't translate what Doreen was saying, it still translated for her because otherwise Clara wouldn't have been able to tell what anybody in the episode was saying. She was able to talk to Mary, the Queen of Years, and she was able to talk to the two apostles or wise men or whatever those two were that were looking for her.
Okay, so in other words, what you're saying, what you're saying is that TARDIS doesn't translate dog?
Well, the thing is that what I was thinking is that maybe Doreen's speech was millions of years old, and the TARDIS, doesn't do really, really old languages.
Possibility.
And Doreen's species could be from, before there was actual words and language, just all the grunting and barking.
There you go.
Well, like I was joking last week, saying, they should have had the focus of when she wasn't allowed into the TARDIS on the keyhole. They were showing the police box, public call box sign on top, making it an imposing figure, which means that the director was trying to give us a hint that something was going on. But let's drop it there. What's our next news story, Trish?
Okay. The next one is that there is now an official synopsis for the episode of Journey to the Center of the TARDIS.
Okay.
That BBC released. And this is what it says. It says, a spaceship salvage team drags the TARDIS on board, sending its systems into meltdown. As the Doctor marshals the motley salvage crew outside, he realizes Clara is still trapped within his malfunctioning ship, pursued by a dangerous group of ossified monsters. He has just 30 minutes to find Clara and save his TARDIS before it self-destructs.
So we have another one of those time episodes where probably time runs at the same time of the episode, kind of like 42.
Yes.
Maybe.
Sounds interesting, though. It sounds like it'll be another exciting episode.
And it also sounds like we'll find out more about the relationship between the TARDIS and Clara in that episode.
Exactly.
And hopefully it won't be about locked doors and Clara going, why don't you like me?
Yeah, let's hope. We can all but hope.
Yeah, I'm putting that whole thing in my new box, which I like to call the Damn It Moffat box. Okay, so that's the latest thing to go with the Damn It Moffat.
Honestly,
along with all the talk of who is not going to be in the 50th anniversary.
Honestly, I think they're just getting the corridors from the Doctor's wife just to save a little money on that episode. So that we can... we just blew it all on Cold War. Now we got to save it on this one.
Yeah.
So just have those corridors forever.
Put little labels on the door: executive washroom, cinema, doctor's library, library with a pool.
Oh, speaking of libraries.
Speaking of libraries
and books, Philip Reeve, who wrote the book Mortal Engines, he is the next children's author to write the next Doctor Who book, which is going to feature the Fourth Doctor, and this is the short story series that they're doing. That's each one is based on one of the 11 Doctors, and this book is going to be called The Roots of Evil. And the synopsis of this book says that when the Fourth Doctor takes Leela to visit an immense tree space station known as the Helgen structure, little do they know that the tree has been asleep for centuries, dreaming of vengeance against a man in a blue box. As the tree awakes, the Time Lord and his companions soon discover why they are such unwelcome guests. And that will be coming out on the 23rd of April, and will be available on Amazon.
Now, I would recommend these books not just for children, but they're actually good books. I've read the first 3. In fact, I just finished reading Spear of Destiny, which was the John Pertwee story, the Third Doctor story that they did for Doctor Who Destiny of the Doctor. That was written by Marcus Sedgwick. The Nameless Ones by Michael Scott with Patrick Troughton Doctor was pretty good. It was kind of a Cthulhu-based novel. And, of course, Ian Cofer wrote A Big Hand for the Doctor. And you take that title literally. But I won't get into that. That would be too much of a spoiler and a fun thing to give away. But they're good books, and I can't wait to read the new one. And I'm not a kid. Though I play one on TV.
Yep. Oh. All right. Well, yesterday was a special day. It was Peter Davidson's 62nd birthday.
All right.
And
that hair keeps jumping off the top of his head there.
It's not jumping
that
off.
Poor guy.
Oh, Peter.
Peter had that fun in Time Crash.
When you think about what the Doctors look like now, Peter is the closest to his original appearance, if you think about it. I mean, even Colin Baker. I mean, one of the reasons he says luckily they would never ask me to do the 50th anniversary because of my appearance. I mean, he doesn't look anything like he did. Sylvester has aged a little, and Tom,
actually, Paul McGann would actually work.
Oh yes, Paul would work.
Unless he insists to wear that new Dark Eyes outfit.
Oh, well.
He would work.
Now, that's actually interesting about Paul McGann, and I bet we have this story, or if we don't, I'll bring it up now. The Paul McGann interview?
Oh, yes, I do have that.
So then I'll hold that for just a second.
Okay.
But Peter Davison's birthday, he was a great Fifth Doctor, though it was different than Tom Baker. He had a good character.
Yes.
I also enjoyed him on All Creatures Great and Small, and Law & Order UK. I watch him on. So, good actor. And the Tomorrow People. That was a great episode. No, it wasn't. It was the worst Tomorrow People episode ever. Oh, you got your doozle pin right here.
Yeah.
For you.
All right.
I was not impressed by the naked Peter Davidson with nappy hair and the underwear borrowed from some 80s TV show. I wasn't impressed.
Okay, I did not need to know that.
On YouTube now.
Okay, I don't need to know that.
A Man for Emily. And then, of course, Emily was played by his then wife at that point, Sandra Dickinson, who you may know from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy as Trillian on the TV version.
Ooh.
Yes, he was married to her at one point. They got divorced, and now he's remarried.
Did they meet before or after Peter Davidson voiced that roast in the
He got that job
universe?
because of Sandra. It was Sandra's idea. Sandra talked to told the producer that that Peter was available, and then of course Peter was just announced for Doctor Who, and they thought, what a coup! So,
any other news?
Yes, let's switch over to news about the 50th anniversary.
Okay.
So,
am I gonna scream or am I gonna cheer?
Well, not sure. Paul McGann was doing an interview, and he offers kind of a glimpse of hope, maybe. He says that he doesn't think that they're going to know anything about doing the 50th until the 11th hour, as he put it, or maybe even 11:30. He said that he can't count the times as an actor when you're offered something and then you start the next day. And so he says that, that they have time, whatever they're doing, whatever they're making. And he says that he hasn't ruled it out completely.
That does make me feel a bit better. You don't have anything else about the 50th, about anybody who may or may not be doing it, do you?
Well, last night John Sims was on the Jonathan Ross show, and he said that he said no, that he hasn't been asked if the master. First, he just said flat out no when he was asked if the master was going to be appearing, but then when Jonathan pressed him further, he was like, "Well, unless I don't know when they're filming it, but I haven't heard anything. I didn't get a call."
I got to say that, while I have to admit I'm not big on getting the Sims master back, I'd rather much see a new master, I'm getting a little tired of, hearing articles where it's about somebody not doing the 50th, where it's, somebody else going, I'm not doing it. No, I have not been called. That's one of the reasons why I think Trish's first 50th anniversary news bit was at least a tiny ray of hope. At least it's saying, hey, there's always the possibility because, you never know. They're filming it. That doesn't mean that they won't, give me a call and I'll have to run to set.
I think I'd never take anything for face value when it comes to Moffat, because we all know that he has this habit of throwing out things to throw people off. And that actors are not coming out saying, oh, I don't know, I haven't been asked. When the leak came out that David and Billy were going to be in it, that might have been the BBC and Moffat saying, hey, you know what, we want to make this a surprise. We really don't want to let the cat out of the bag. Or maybe they did. Fans of Tenet knew what they were coming on, were going to bring it into there. So I think they want to revel it up to the surprise. Even now when we see, like, John Barrowman, who says, I'm not coming back. I never take it for face value until I see that episode that night with everybody in it. Now, we know, and I don't know if you were going to bring it up, Tricia, Gemma Redgrave is coming back. Kate Stewart.
Yes.
I was very ecstatic about that.
Yeah, that was my next bit of news.
That's
all right.
All right, just take it under now. Sorry.
And that's okay. But, and they're also, this week they were seen filming, at the Tower of London, which, is Unit's headquarters. And that's also what kind of led to them confirming that Gemma Redgrave was going to be returning.
And Unit.
And then they also were filming in Trafalgar Square. And Matt Smith was seen dangling from the bottom of the TARDIS. I don't know. I saw those pictures. It wasn't him.
Yeah.
It wasn't him when it was really, really high, but he did get quite a bit off the ground.
They didn't let him do his own stunts?
Well, they let him do it to an extent.
Yeah.
I think it was something like 20 feet off the ground. It's on YouTube where you can see where he's holding on to the TARDIS and then he just jumps down. But not the big.
20 feet. Very good.
But I like the fact that we're going to have Kate Stewart in the 50th. I mean, it's as much as I want to see some more past stuff, some like past doctors, past enemies, references to the original series. I still like the idea that we're getting Kate Stewart because, well, we no longer have access to the brig, and it's good that the Lethbridge Stewart family is going to be a part of this because it's a part of Doctor Who, so it should be there in some shape or form. So it's great to see Kate coming back for this.
Okay, my last little bit of news. Well, it's kind of a news story, but kind of not. But the director of the very first episode of Doctor Who, Waris Hussein, he was on a show on BBC called The Reunion. I've never seen that show. Has anyone else
it's a radio show.
It's a radio show?
It's a radio show.
Okay. Well, he was on with Peter Purves.
Mm-hmm. Peter Purves, yeah.
Yeah, Purves, sorry. Peter Purves. And he was talking about Doctor Who, and he is not a very big fan of the new Who. And his main problem with it is actually something that Ed also has a problem with, and that is the element of sexuality that is now in Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm.
He does not like the fact that, the Doctor is, always trying to, being kissed by the companions.
So he doesn't like the bow now
No.
of Doctor Who.
Yes.
That's an interesting question because that seems to have become now part of the breaking of the mythology. I mean, the first 7 Doctors would never have seen that, ever. In fact, it was Tom Baker in one interview came out and he said the way that he handles Sarah Jane, like when he grabs her and pulls her out of that tube in the Ark in space, he doesn't really know how to handle her, so he grabs her like it's a wet rag and just kind of throws her down there.
Yeah.
And that was the concept that seemed universally, and the taboo that was Doctor Who. Fast forward to 1996, the 8th Doctor gets his first snog, and now it just seems now the mythology is taking a new toll. But usually, and not myself anyway, but I know that more senior Whovians from the first 7 on, from the first 7 previous, they seem to not like, oh God, I'm going to snog her again. It kind of does pull away from that, I guess, that innocence that the Doctor has, that he's childlike, and kind of made him an adult, which is what Russell T. Davies warned us. That's where we were entering. We were kind of going into a Buffy Angel-type universe when we went into this new...
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. I mean, I said this in our companion episode from earlier in the year, that, you have stuff like the 3rd Doctor and Sarah Jane, 7th Doctor and Ace, where it's very much almost like a professor-student or, father-daughter or, uncle-niece type of thing. It's more of a familial thing. It's not, what the modern Who is, where you have, this constant parade of companions, with the exception of Donna, that, want to kiss the Doctor.
Well, it also kind of strengthens Russell T. Davies' argument when he said he was going to make it more like a Buffy-verse type deal, because could we really, in essence, have the first 7 Doctors, if it were today where we started with William Hartnell, Patrick Troughton, and John Ford, would they have been successful because of who they are now in the time that we are now? And in the stories that we would have had then brought up to now, would that series would have worked? And the answer, I think, would be no. We have kind of grown up. We've kind of gone with a younger kind of generation, whereas back then it was kind of the more senior, the more older Doctor, the more unapproachable Doctor. Mm-hmm. That kind of thing was unrelated, and it was taboo, didn't happen, even enforced by Tom Baker during that interview. Now it's almost every episode he's going to get snogged, somebody's going to flirt with him, somebody's going to jump his bones. Have we adapted to that now?
I got to be honest, though, Christian. I got to disagree with you. I think that some of the relationships in the old series could work. I think it's a little, I honestly, I disagree, and I can't help but feel that if you were like an executive, if you weren't you and you were an executive, that you would try to be like, well, people don't want to see that. People want to see the Buffy Angel dynamic. They want to see the Smallville dynamic, Clark and Lois and Clark and Lana. But I think honestly that if you still had the level of writing in a lot of the old episodes, that the fans would go for it. I mean, there are people who were born after these episodes who have a liking to these episodes, and they have a liking to how the Doctor related to his companions. So, I got to say that, I know that the in thing, is to have that whole kind of Buffy Angel thing, but, I still think that the old thing could work.
Well, Mark and Trish, do you think that a Tom Baker and a Peter Davison and a Colin Baker, if they were the current Doctors, with the current storylines, with the relationships with the companions, do you think that would work today if Tom Baker were right now the Doctor? Do you think that would be working today?
Oh, I don't know, because it seems like, they're going for the target demographic, which is, 18 to 35. And a lot of times that age group, as they say, sex sells, and that's what a lot of people want. Is they want the sexual tension, they want the chemistry and everything like that. So I'm not sure.
I'm going actually with more Patricia on this one. We're aiming for a demographic because it worked.
Yeah.
With somebody like me when I was younger, even though it wasn't kind of my deal, I enjoyed the Doctor Who and I grew up with it, but I adapt to it and the new Who. Now, you've got the younger audience who have seen other things that are, like the Buffy and have experienced it. So now for Doctor Who to work into the new series and the new dimension, we're going to probably have to adapt them into this kind of new universe that we would have more during my time when I was growing up, during the PBS days, which is taboo, which I think is funny because we have full frontal nudity thanks to the BBC.
Oh, we do. I loved I Claudius when I was a kid because of the nudity. But I love it now because of the drama. I love it now because of the drama. I think Derek Jacobi is a great. No, Derek Jacobi and John Hurt were amazing. John Hurt is Caligula. Oh my God, better than the chest bursting.
Is there any other news, or is that it?
Well, the only other thing was, Peter Purves, that he was also on that show, and he agreed with Waris Hussein about the not liking the sexuality, but he also had a problem with how complicated the show is. That he said that the original series was so simple, it was very straightforward with nice linear stories that people could follow. He thinks that Moffat is too complicated.
Well, yeah, Moffat has turned it into I think they call it a box set show where you kind of have to watch the whole season to understand what's going on, and you can't just casually watch an episode of it.
I was saying the other day that I sometimes miss Russell's stories because you could just watch it at face value. You weren't going, oh, could this mean something? Is this a clue to, do I have to remember this? And, it was kind of nice when you could just watch it and just relax and just watch it instead of being like, oh my God, is this going to, come back later? Is it something I need to, pay attention to?
Yeah, and it was just, and the stuff like for example, you did have a season-long kind of theme, but it was a simple thing like just the word Bad Wolf appearing here and there, or a reference to Torchwood. But you could enjoy the episodes without worrying. You had an episode like season 2. You had School Reunion where Sarah Jane came back, and you could enjoy that without having to look and see, well, how is this going to relate to, the big thing at the end?
Yeah.
Well, I get your point, and I think it's kind of Moffat's fault in some cases, the writing. Okay, how about this question? Why weren't there ducks in the duck pond? Who built the Pandorica? We're still got these strings that are still dangling, hoping that maybe somewhere by the time we get to the 50th anniversary, they're all answered. But he's left a lot of strings out there. Now, I don't know if that's the way he writes to where he throws you off, but still, it kind of leaves you teetering, going, okay, well, what the heck? Okay, yeah, you're right, Ed. Why should I remember this? What is with this? I mean, the small stuff he wanted us to look at. Now we're looking at the small stuff, and like, well, you left that behind. What's this all about? So,
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's the type of thing where, like, exactly when Trish and I, we watched the episodes together. And we end up watching not only the first time it runs, but then we wait 2 hours, 3 hours till it plays again, so that way we can watch it again and see, is there anything that we didn't catch the first time around?
Well, it's just like, did you guys catch on with the leaf? The leaf that she held up in Rings of Akatan was not the same leaf that the Doctor held up from her book.
It wasn't the same leaf at all.
At all. It was a totally different leaf. I don't know.
No, that's a Moffat
God.
screw up or a Moffat thing to look for.
Like I was saying last week, I mean, it felt like the whole story of the leaf had been done, and if this is a mistake that's not a mistake, then I'm like, oh God, what more with the leaf? Especially because I mean, as we, from what we saw, if this is supposed to be a plain mistake, okay, it's a silly, stupid one, but the story of the leaf, that seems like a great, beautiful story. But now, if there's something about the leaf, if the leaf is yet another piece of the puzzle, it's like, come on, how much are we going to have to focus on? And is there going to be a payoff, or is it just, dumping stuff out?
Well, I hope there is a payoff, or there's going to be a lot of angry fans.
Well, to me, I think it was just the props department kept losing that leaf, and it kept breaking up, and they had all these stuck leaves in the back.
That's
okay, so then leaf number 5, Isa's your turn. Go. Oh, good, he got ripped up. Okay,
you know what? I think we better get the BBC to fire their continuity editor.
Yeah. Did you see? Mark? Did you see what I posted on our Facebook page?
Tell everyone about it.
Well, I posted. Someone posted 2 pictures side by side. It was, remember how I said last week that the car that almost hit Clara's father looked like the car that ran Pete down in Father's Day? Well, they had pictures of it side by side, and it's the exact same car.
It's the same license plate too. I can't actually tell the exact letters and numbers of the license plate, but I'm looking at the pictures right now. Got it right in front of me on the screen. And they look very similar. So, yeah, I would say it's the same car. So why is there a road rage driver in the Doctor Who universe running down crucial people of Doctor Who importance? I mean, there's something going on with the car.
There's somebody in the Doctor Who universe who needs their license revoked.
The Auto Club behind the Pandorica or something? I don't know, but that's a good point. I'd also, speaking about our Facebook page, just 35 minutes ago from the time that we're recording this, I'd like to welcome Ian Strope for joining our Whovian universe. Thank you, Ian Strope, for joining.
Actually, if I can say, it's great timing because I mentioned this last week, and last night I recorded an episode for Ian's podcast.
Is that the Ian? Ian's cool.
That's the Ian. We recorded an episode. We spoke about.
Friend him.
We spoke about the cartoon Young Justice, and we also spoke a little bit about cartoons in general, and it was nice. It was nice recording with him, and he's going to let me know when it's online, and I'm definitely going to let everybody else know.
Excellent.
So hopefully I'll be back there. Maybe one of you 2 guys can join me. We can
love to.
Definitely. He's a great guy to add to our little Whovian universe, and I hope that when he gets a chance to listen to this, hey Ian, thanks again for having me, and welcome to the WHOniverse family.
Yeah, but of course he's not a member of the Geekcast Radio Network, and I bring that up because it's time to go to a commercial for the Geekcast Radio Network and other podcasts that deal with media. Not just science fiction, but comic books and animated shows and movies. We'll be right back.
Tooncast is dedicated to the cartoons we grew up with. 100 episodes and more make up one of the GCRN's most popular podcasts. Join hosts TFG and Mike, Optimus Solo, Terror the Rising Star, and tons of guest hosts. We also have voice actor and writer interviews. Tune in to Tooncast as we look back on the cartoons that defined us as geeks. You can find Tooncast on iTunes and the web at www.geekcastradio.com. Tune in.
Is this thing on? Oh, goody. Why, hello there. It's your dear old Uncle Joker here. I bet you're asking yourself, what could I be possibly doing here of all places? Well, I'm laughing at the fact that this new podcast presented by Geekcast Radio is called Legends of the Dark Knight. Who the heck knew the Bat was so popular? Ugh. Join Steve, Mike, and sometimes Tara for reviews on the greatest DC animated universe cartoon to ever meet Gotham City. So join moi for the talk of the town, or I'll send Captain Clown after you. He gets mighty angry when he doesn't get to have his garbage skull. So put on a nice big smile and join us for the next Geekcast Radio Network podcast, Legends of the Dark Knight.
And we're back! Hey! Hi, guys! Welcome back to Mark 42's WHOniverse. I'm your host, Mark Baumgarten, and of course we've got Trish Helm, we've got Eduardo M Freyre, and we've got special guest Christian-basel. Hey, guys! Glad to come back from the break.
Yep,
Yes.
yep. Everybody, we did stops at the restroom. We got some water, got some cookies. We're all set.
Excellent.
Hopefully the audience is all set for us to talk about Cold War. And if not, remember, pause the podcast, watch the episode, then come back.
That's right, because this would be where we must tell you that the rest of the show contains spoilers. This is a spoiler alert. So please, like Ed said, press pause and stop your podcast right now if you have not seen Cold War by Mark-gattiss. Okay, now that you're here and listened, Mark-gattiss came back and wrote another episode for us, and a very good episode, I think.
Hey.
Oh,
Yes.
much improved from last week.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I just pretend that episode kind of just didn't happen.
Yeah, well,
My TV
this-
just went off of that.
Now, this episode was like action from beginning to end.
Oh,
It was great.
yeah. And hey, for Game of Thrones fans, Davos Seaworth was in this episode.
yeah.
Davos Seaworth, and good news for Game of Thrones fans, Davos had all his fingers intact this time.
See, he just spoiled something for me from Game of Thrones now.
Sorry, Ed. I gotta represent the Time Bandits and the Tron fans. David Warner.
Oh, God,
yeah.
That was the episode. That was
Christian,
something.
I was gonna bring that up the minute I saw David Warner. I was like, hey, it's Chancellor Gorkin, it's Talbot St. John, it's Evil from Time Bandits, it's Sark, it's Ra's al Ghul. That was
Unfortunately, the first place my mind went was, it's the guy from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. Isn't that horrible?
Wipe that out of your folks. Wipe that out of your minds, folks. Wipe that out
Don't
of
you
your
hear
minds.
that?
You get a new swimming pool, and it just happened to be available. That's what that's how I write it off to.
Yeah.
Hey,
But-
I honestly, having Liam Cunningham and David Warner as two of the guest stars, that just made it for me. I mean, the episode was already cool going in, and then having them added to it, that's the cherry on top. That's the chocolate frosting on the already chocolate cake. It was just awesome.
Yeah.
I'm still walking around my house going, he wants to talk to the organ grinder, not the monkey.
I was waiting the entire episode for David Warner's character to say something like "end of line."
I have to say, my favorite line that David Warner did was when Doctor said to him, "Oh, I could just kiss you," and he's just like, "If you must."
Gotta love how he didn't bat an eye with that.
Yes.
Only David Warner could play that role.
Oh, yeah, it was a great episode, and like I said, Mark Gattiss wrote it. Mark Gattiss, of course, as people should know, is co-creator of Sherlock with Stephen Moffat, and has written several previous episodes of Doctor Who that were very good, and also one of the books. And get ready, folks, for the game Nightshade, which was a new adventure book, and it's not available at Mark Who 42 Books. Sorry, drink.
And hasn't he also guest starred on the show a couple of times?
Yes, because you're thinking of Professor Lazarus.
There you go. Yeah,
he was Professor Lazarus.
Professor Lazarus himself, a great villain from season 3. He did what to me has so far been a great episode, one of the great episodes of this season. So
yeah, I mean, he's also Sherlock's brother. On
God.
Sherlock. I mean, he's a regular League of Gentlemen on his own, isn't he?
As far as the start of the episode, if I have any gripes, it's not really with the episode itself. It's the fact that, one of the things I was griping about with Rings of Akatan is the Doctor just drops Clara off at the door. That, we have another situation where the companions can just come in and out of the TARDIS, where she's not traveling with the Doctor. She gets dropped off after hanging out on weekends.
Right.
This episode starts, and they're together again. There's no pickup scene, which kind of makes me go, okay, if this is the case, then why did we even have him dropping her off last week? I mean, why couldn't the episode have ended with her going, oh, can we travel someplace else?
They were leaving it for a place where they could write a book and put it there and say, this book took place after this and before this. Remember, you have that problem with the old books where there was no place to put the story. Well, this gives you a place to put the story.
That's a very good point.
Really, it's one of those things where if you wanted to do a story where the Doctor and Clara travel together, you still can do it. I mean, you didn't have to have a scene where he dropped her off. That just.
Well, yeah, but yeah.
Especially because again. Here we go. We have them going straight from the TARDIS and going Vegas.
and that was a great scene. I would love to see the Doctor in Las Vegas. I think that would be fun. Not even for the audience aspects.
If he goes to Vegas at the right point in time, he could maybe sing with Frankie, Dean, and Sammy.
That would be amazing. Matt Smith and the Rat Pack.
So what did you guys think of the Ice Warrior?
Skulldeck is amazing.
Yes.
I thought the Ice Warrior that showed up in it, Skulldeck, was incredible. You could actually understand what he was saying.
The voice is pretty much a stereotypical deep monster voice, but they still had a little bit of the stress on the S that the Ice Warriors were known for. But I gotta say, I'll take this voice over the original series because. Gotta be honest, the whisper that they did for the Ice Warriors, it had me thinking, if I was confronting an Ice Warrior, I'd be like, okay, please don't take this disrespect, oh proud warrior, but I can't understand what you're saying.
Right.
Can you
that's
speak
what I
up,
was
please?
saying.
I can't speak up. What were you threatening me? Wait, I'm sorry. What were you saying? Can you say that again?
And we have the new voice thanks to Nicholas Briggs. Yeah. The guy who does the Daleks and works and does Big Finish audio. Nicholas Briggs did the voice of Skulldeck, and he did a great job. And like we were saying, you could understand every word he said, which you could not do in Ice Warriors and the Seeds of Death. Unless you're listening so very carefully to the TV screen, you would miss entire lines of dialogue.
Oh yeah, I kind of had that problem when I was watching the 2 Peladon episodes with the Third Doctor. They were whispering so much that I was just like, wait, I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, what? Huh? What? Say again? What?
He's got 5,000 years locked up in ice. He's discovered in a submarine, so he discovered mouthwash somewhere along the way. So
he gargled.
He got some gargling going, so we got Skulldeck.
Yeah, so. But, and actually, and speaking of, the whole thing of being trapped in ice for 5,000 years, I mean, I got to admit, there were points at which this episode kind of reminded me of Dalek in the sense that, you have a classic monster, but there are moments where you can kind of sympathize with him. I mean, okay, he's a little murderous. He kind of, didn't want to take a minute. He was just like, my people are gone, so I'm going to kill you all now.
Oh, wait a second. Let's go back a little. And first of all, we have an actor whose performance I could only call. I don't know what his character's name was, but I call him the stupid idiot. Because the stupid idiot defrosted the Ice Warrior with a heating torch.
Comrade Idiot Red Shotovich.
Yeah. I need to go before that.
Let's go back. Let's go further.
I'm still trying to figure out. I'm looking at that ice sculpture, and it's like, the hell did you get a mammoth from? That doesn't even look like a mammoth.
Well, Grushenko is a little eccentric, and he doesn't know what a mammoth looks like. I don't know.
He was too busy.
Drunk like the man for two brains from his character. Just like what he's looking at.
I think that Comrade Sark Gorkin was too busy listening to Ultravox when they unearthed it, and he really wasn't paying attention.
Oh, yeah, we got some great music too, but let's go. So, this is a 1983, Cold War is going on, the East and the West, mutually assured destruction, all the nuclear missiles, and we're in a submarine, and, the Ice Warrior gets defrosted, and, kind of wrecks the ship, doesn't he?
Does a little havoc. He runs
a little havoc, and the ship starts going down.
I think it's just that he, the poor guy, 5,000 years.
Yeah.
He misses his family. He misses his people, and he probably woke up a little cranky. I think instead of shooting at him, they probably should have said, "Hey, you want a cup of coffee?"
Right. That's what I was getting at. The fact that he wasn't a murderous creature that started willy-nilly destroying everything. Because he wasn't going to, when they had him in a confrontation scene, when they first come on face to face with the Ice Warrior, or rather back to face, because the Doctor wasn't actually facing him, was he? They have the weapons at him. He's got his disruptor, aimed at the crew, and he wasn't going to shoot, except that he gets attacked first.
Yep.
Yeah, they borrowed the cattle prod from South Park.
There were several dumb characters on this. There was the stupid idiot, and now there's Ensign Stupid. Also, yeah, they had a lot of stupid people in this.
Comrade Ensign Stupid Kapelprodogovich.
Oh my God! If he hadn't done that, the episode would have been different. But humans are a fearful bunch, and he sees a monster in front of it. So what does he do?
He electrocutes it.
Yeah.
And I got to say, the moment where the Ice Warrior's standing behind the Doctor keeps talking, and everybody's trying to point it out, very Scooby-Doo.
Oh, it totally was. And I like Scooby-Doo.
I like it. Very, very funny, cartoon moment.
I was almost waiting for him to go, he's right behind me, isn't he? But
I was waiting for that, too.
He didn't go there, but he should have. It would have been fun. If Mark was going for a laugh, that's where Mark-gattiss should have put it. Right.
Yeah, no, that was, yeah. I gotta love again the just the little nod to Alien with the fact that we had the Ice Warrior running around through the ducts.
Yeah, and I watched Alien the night before this episode was on. I watched it again.
While I think of Alien, I'm not. I didn't have the same feelings that I did last week, where I was just like, oh God, okay, now we're touching this, now we're touching that. It felt a little better,
Well, and again, all the best, the Tom Baker stories that were so good by Philip Hinchcliffe Productions when he was producing it were old horror films.
Yeah,
there was the Frankenstein. They had the Triffids. I mean, they had everything. And homages are good.
Kind of cool was the fact that we had the Ice Warrior out of that armor. It was a nice little twist.
Oh yeah.
Instead of him lumbering through the corridors, he then dumps that. And it was also kind of cool how, in this particular instance, an Ice Warrior being out of armor is a bad thing.
Oh, yeah.
You think, oh, the armor's off. Oh, cool. We get a chance to kill it. No, it's like, oh, great. Now it's gone from bad to incredibly worse.
Yeah.
And, I just love I love how, again, like Alien, we get a shot of the glowing red eyes. We get the claw coming down. They don't show us completely what it looks like.
No.
A lot of it's left to the imagination.
Oh, and I have one thing to add. I'd like to thank the Doctor Who people who make the show for listening to me when I said enough with a sonic screwdriver, because at the beginning of the episode, I thought they were going to go for it. I was hoping, because that sonic screwdriver went down, and Clara actually went unconscious trying to get it from the water, didn't she? She almost drowned trying to save it, and she didn't save it.
Well, it was up to Comrade
Shinko,
Comrade Talbot St. John Ra's al Ghul to.
You're just going with that, aren't you?
I'm going to keep. Hey, David Warner, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. Hey, he's a cool guy. He deserves as many shout-outs to his work as I can toss in.
Yeah.
I think this is the first time we ever saw the sonic screwdriver glow red.
It did glow.
It did glow red.
Yeah, I mean, I had to wonder though. I mean, was it something kind of the Doctor added in to kind of push the point home for the Ice Warrior that, hey, if you're going to blow us up, I'm going to blow this up. Kind of was it part of his stare down?
Actually, I think it was just the same people who brought out the Leafs. The bulb went out, so they had to replace it with a red one.
The bulb went out. We'll change.
Sorry, we can't afford the green ones anymore. The red ones are cheaper at the dollar store.
or maybe it was red as this setting is danger.
Yeah.
You're gonna blow up everybody, really?
Yeah, maybe it's got a psychic link with the Doctor.
Yeah.
Doctor was gonna,
Hey.
whatever. It doesn't matter. So what else can we talk about when it comes to cool?
Also, I mean, we mentioned Comrade Stupid Blowtorchevich and Comrade Stupid Kattleprodovich.
Yeah.
We haven't mentioned Comrade Backstabby McSaber-Rattleditch.
Oh, you mean Stepashin.
The first officer, who basically was all about, no, the creature's an American weapon. Oh, we should launch the nukes. Let's launch the nukes. It's like, wow, what is wrong with you?
There were Russians back in 1983 who were like that. But there were also Russians who were like Captain Zhukov, one of them being Sean Connery in Hunt for Red October.
Right.
I thought I was watching Hunt for Red October before the Ice Warrior came in. It was Liam Cunningham played it almost that way.
I'll take swords for 300.
The rapist for 100.
It was touches of Hunt for Red October. It was but
Alien,
Liam
Hunt for Red October, it was all that.
Yeah, I thought he did a great job, and I got to admit, I mean, it's as much as I was having just a total nerdgasm with Davos Seaworth being on Doctor Who, I found that I didn't have to, at one point, didn't find myself going, I can't account for the wind, Your Grace.
Now, does it make... I have a question I want to put up. Does it make sense that Grushenko was listening to Ultravox in 1983 and making reference to Duran Duran because he was behind the Iron Curtain? Would they have known about that, or would it have been a case of bootleg, or was maybe Grushenko a spy, and we didn't know about that, and it wasn't brought up, or something?
I'm sure that Grushenko, being the eccentric that he is, probably had access to bootleg copies, and probably, if anything, I'm surprised that we didn't have a scene where maybe Captain Zhukov would take him aside and go, listen. I know you have a love for this music, but do try to tone it down. Some of my men would not be as forgiving. I will say this. His suggestion to Clara, to start singing "Hungry Like a Wolf," that was fun. And I got to say that if he needed any other song suggestions, maybe Somebody's Watching Me. That would have been interesting. Hey, or a little bit of Culture Club. We could have had "Do You Really Want to Hurt Me?"
Yes, we do.
My God, it's only a 40-minute episode, man.
I'm sure that,
we did have.
Hang on. If you want another thing, you could have had the Police, Every Breath You Take.
There you go.
Or
counting down 1983's greatest hits, Ed. You know what we're doing here? Have you noticed that the last two episodes have had music as a part of it? And is that going to be a running theme in this? Has Steven decided, I like a bit of a soundtrack on my Doctor Who.
Hey, I don't know. Although I do admit that they did have. I do admit that Moffat did avoid the fact that when we did have Clara singing a little bit of "Hungry Like a Wolf," that the door was open that he could have pumped it up on the soundtrack. He could have had other characters in the room jump in and join in on.
That would have been nice.
And Matt could have joined in. That would have been.
I could have. I have to admit that I'm kind of glad that they didn't go for that. That it was just Clara whispering that one little piece of the refrain, because going any further would have been a little too cheesy. It was funny in an episode like End of the World in season 1, but in this particular case, that would have been out of place.
Was Skulldad hungry like a wolf?
Well, he has been asleep for a few thousand years.
He may have eaten. He might be hungry.
He may eat some breakfast. I mean, part of the reason is he may not have been disassembling people to find out more. May have been that he was hungry. May have been looking for a Twinkie. But there were
Twinkies in 1983, but maybe not in Russia.
Okay, well, maybe they had the Soviet communist equivalent. I will say this to answer a question that the professor had for Clara. Bad news, Ultravox did break up, unfortunately. However, good news, if the professor is still alive in modern day, he can find them on iTunes. I actually went to iTunes. Ultravox is there. Their music is there. You have the albums Brilliant, Vienna. You have their best of album called The Voice. You have System of Romance. So, Ultravox is available on iTunes, but unfortunately they did break up.
You know what else you could find down iTunes? Mark Who 42's WHOniverse. If you're not listening there, you can listen there. And why don't you review us? We don't have anybody reviewing us or giving us those stars that people love to give people podcasts and music on iTunes. So don't forget to do that, folks.
Oh, you put in the shameless plug.
Drink.
Hang on, I got the bottled water here. Hang on.
No, not water. You lilies lovers.
Oh, there we go. Okay, there you go. That counts. That's me taking a swig. I mean, I would take a swig of something harder, but we're recording.
Okay, you are excused. The rest of the listeners are not. Drink. You're excused because you are doing a podcast. We don't want you drunk while we're doing the.
You're not supposed to drink while working.
I've had a few of my friends Jack Daniels walk into the room.
Now something.
It's been so nice.
Something we haven't mentioned. I brought up last week that they seem to be doing a lot of Second Doctor things in their stories, and the Ice Warriors coming back as one of them in this week. But we also had the TARDIS leave when the submarine was having a problem and when water was coming in, thanks to HADS, the Hostile Action Displacement System, which was first used during the Patrick Troughton era and was actually last used, or at least on the TV version, in the Patrick Troughton era. So, I mean, I thought the use of the HADS was very good this episode. Because if there was a way off the ship, it wouldn't have been that much of jeopardy. And a lot of the new viewers, since this was a Second Doctor thing, the Hostile Action Displacement System, had no idea what happened to the TARDIS. I did. The TARDIS disappearing. I'm going, oh, they brought the HADS back. And then they said a few minutes later, yep, it was the HADS.
Yeah, well, I have to admit, I kind of wish, though, getting the TARDIS out of the picture so that we don't have that escape hatch. That was a clever thing to do. Although I kind of wish, though, I do kind of wish, though, that the solution hadn't been dropped at, the very end. I kind of wish that they would have put it a little earlier, because then it kind of feels like an afterthought. It feels like a little, let's do one more little stingy joke. Ha ha ha, the Doctor fooled with the HADS. Ha ha ha, the TARDIS ends up on the wrong pole. It ends up more like just a little 2-second joke. And
by the way, I have one of these devices in my car. For those of you in New Mexico, it's a blue Camry 2000. If you find it, just email me. I'll come and get it later.
You said it was a blue Camry.
Blue Camry.
Wait, what year was it?
2010.
2000? Because I see a listing on eBay right now. It's going for...
That's funny. There is a problem with the HADs working. With the TARDIS going off the ship to the South Pole, how come they could still speak Russian, or the Russians could speak English? How come we understand each other? Because I'm pretty sure the TARDIS at this point, because we were close to the North Pole, the South Pole is too far away for that telepathic circuit to work.
Well, how do you know?
Well, we don't know for certain.
Well, what about when Martha walked the Earth? How do you think she was being able to talk to everybody around the whole planet?
Well, in the case of Martha, as a medical student, she may have had studies in different languages, may have had interpreters. However, I will point out that, remember, it may also be that while the TARDIS was on the opposite side of the Earth, the Doctor was still around and conscious. Because if you remember from the Christmas invasion, the reason that nobody could understand the Sycorax leader was because the Doctor was unconscious. When he revived, the circuit kicked in, and they were able to understand what he was saying.
That's a good point.
Or maybe there's a connection to the sonic screwdriver, too.
It was in the pocket of, the Professor Master Control program.
I
Nice.
see what you did there. I see
Nice.
what you did there. You took Tron and you brought it in there. I saw what you did.
I have either a bone to pick with Mark-gattiss or director Douglas McKinnon, because I really appreciated the role of the Professor. I think he should have been explored a hell of a lot more than he did.
Especially because it was played by David Warner.
Yeah.
That was a waste of the actor acting.
But yeah, there were times in there where I was going like, okay, he knows all this stuff. He seems to have no authority to it. I mean, he was just on the boat to be on the boat. He didn't care.
Yeah.
He seemed to know a lot more than what the other guys did or what was going on. And the relationship between him and Clara, I wanted that a heck of a lot more.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a great device when they came in, and all the stuff that the Professor was going through, because you've been through the future and everything, and the only thing you want to know is, did Ultravox separate? Did they split up?
You know what?
That was the only. I think that was a great representation of the character development, and I wanted more from him. There was so much potential, and it just kind of got ruled out. He had some of the best lines in there. The kissing scene with the Doctor, he's just like, it just seemed like it just dwindled out eventually, and the big scene between him and Clara, where he was genuinely coming in as to calm her down, as opposed to, dirty old man talking to a little girl. It just seemed so wonderful because he didn't want anything more than to calm her down, even though he was kind of like, he didn't even know the potential of how dangerous this Ice Warrior guy was. This Galdak was walking around the ship, and he was just calm, laid back, and he was trying to do the same thing for Clara. Just like, calm down, talk to me, type deal. And I just wish they had gone into it more.
Yeah, I know. Well, I know that scene was beautiful, and I have to admit that when Trish and I were watching it, we were kind of hoping and praying that it wouldn't end with the Professor getting killed.
Yeah, when he was sitting in the doorway of the one portal, I kept expecting him to get grabbed from behind and pulled through and killed at some point. It was, yeah.
But Skeldak showed a lot of restraint, and his honor, his sense of honor as an Ice Warrior showed through, and so when he did, he didn't kill indiscriminately, or Grishiko would have been dead. And I got to say something about the pacing of this episode. It really needed to be a two-parter. It went so fast at the end of it. There could have been so much more, and it could. I think this would have worked as a two-parter.
Yeah, I will say that as far as the speaking of the end, what I did like is, now I will say that they did have for most of the episode they had Skaldak out of armor, like in the shadows.
They were trying to do a new thing with the Ice Warriors.
Yeah, and when we finally see his face, we see the helmet come down, and we get to see what an Ice Warrior looks like underneath. While I will admit it wasn't like, oh my God, holy cow, what I did like, though, is not so much, the intent of the scene was not, oh my God, look what the Ice Warrior looks like underneath. It was more about
talking to him face to face.
It had to be more about the fact that, yeah, exactly, that, you know, when the doctor said, let's talk face to face, that Skaldak, who was a warrior, thought, let me honor the doctor by actually doing it face to face, by giving him, you know, this ultimate gift of being able to see what I look like without that helmet on. You know, that was the big thing of the scene. I think if I have a nitpick, it's that with Skaldak getting rescued at the end, with his people showing up and they're the ones who pulled the sub out, I will say that does kind of make him look like a bit of an impatient whiner. You know, you kind of want to sit him down and go, hey, see, there you go. Your people are alive. You just had to calm down. You know, you just had to be patient.
Ed, you're not being honorable there. And speaking of honor, I have to honor the Geekcast Radio Network. We'll be right back.
The Pull Bag is the GCRN's place for everything you need in the comic book world. We focus on new and current comics, while also tackling a few back issues here and there. So join the entire GCRN crew and see what issues the hosts have with today's panels. You can find the Pull Bag on iTunes and geekcastradio.com. Make your great escape into comics.
Doctor Who began its long history back in 1963 and continues to this day. With the worldwide popularity of the show, can you believe that there was a long period of time when the show was absent from the airwaves? We call that the Wilderness Year. All was not lost, though, during those 16 years. Virgin Publishing and then BBC Books had several original Doctor Who novel lines featuring all the past Doctors and companions. These books are all out of print now, but where can you get them? At Mark 42 Books on Amazon. If you love to read and love Doctor Who, these books are cool. If you're a diehard Whovian needing to fill in gaps of your collection, fantastic! We also have annuals and reference manuals. All books are in new and like-new condition. If you're interested, go to amazon.com/shops/Marku42 and see for yourself. That's amazon.com/shops/MARKWHO42. And we're back. Okay. You were talking about the Ice Warriors coming to rescue Skaldak. Yeah. And I was thinking, you know what? I was wondering through the whole episode, if they had come back, would it be the good Ice Warriors from the Curse of Peladon, or the bad Ice Warriors from their other three appearances?
It looks like it was the good Ice Warriors. I think a part of it was just that, you know, they were there just to pick up Skaldak, and you know, doing anything else would have been kind of overkill. You know, if you're a intelligent warrior, you have goals and you kind of stick with it, and you don't deviate from that path. So,
right.
You know, they got the signal, and it's like, we got to pick up Skaldak. We pick up Skaldak and we leave. You know, let's not, you know, make a mark any further.
Exactly.
Especially because given Earth climate, you really don't want to be spotted by any government in the mid to early 80s. You kind of have to wonder, you know, on the trip home, was Skaldak sitting there and to himself, was he going, you know, and I'm hungry like the wolf. Hungry like the wolf. Hungry like the wolf.
Yep.
Okay.
Am I the only one that he got beamed up with his helmet off? I mean, that's supposed to be an insult?
Oh.
He got beamed up with the helmet off. I'm just like, wait a minute, he's showing himself now. So is that an insult to what was going on there?
Well, maybe that's why he didn't have a chance to say goodbye. You know, he was too busy going, you know, sorry guys, you know, I thought I had you know, my hair was going wild. I was you know, you guys.
Hey, he's got Ultravox waiting for him upstairs.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, one thing that I noticed in the episode also, this has to do with Clara, was you know how we were talking about the Victorian Clara, how she's the one that snogged the doctor, and how a lot of people are sick of this. I feel like this modern Clara, she's not really into that, because I haven't really seen anything like that from her. And, you know, after she got out of the room, after she had talked to Skaldak, and she was like to the doctor, you know, did I do okay? Was I all right? You know, it seemed more like she was looking for like the approval of him, almost like a father, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
It wasn't.
They actually did get close together, but in this case, it was a hug. You know,
yes, and it wasn't anything.
She didn't lip lock.
No, it wasn't anything sexual at all.
Yeah.
To me, it felt more like I think she's more looking at him as more of a father figure. But it would be nice to, you know, not have quite so much.
It would be nice to kind of have. I mean, it doesn't need to be a callback to the Donna era where you know, she's going, you know, don't mate with me, spaceman. But it would be nice to have a companion who is not obsessed with, you know, as I said before, and I'll say it again, you know, obsessed with making doctor babies.
It would be nice to have someone that's, you know, more into the adventures, into the, you know, the stories of what's going on, instead of just like, ooh, how can I get into the doctor's pants?
Yeah, you actually had a little bit of that with Clara. Like you just said, you know, after she got out of the room, she was looking for the doctor's approval, like, ooh, how did that go? Did I do well? And, you know, you also had a little bit of that when she's talking to the professor. You know, when she's talking to Professor Dillinger. There you go, another reference.
I'm still getting over Trish's in the doctor's pants comment.
You know, you had a little bit of that with, you know, Professor Ra's al Ghul, where, you know, she's talking about how when she was in the room, you know, when she was in the room, she was getting excited. You know, she was getting adrenaline from the adventure. But when, you know, she saw the bodies, you know, of some of the people that Skaldak had been killed, that, you know, that kind of brought her down off the high. Then all of a sudden, this isn't fun adventure anymore. You know, then it's now getting scary. You know, so that was interesting. So yeah, you do get a little bit of that, where this is someone who, you know, who sees how much fun this is. You know, how much of a big adventure this is. You know, and it's
that's the story with every companion. They go through that rush, that big high, especially Amy, who got it a little bit more, almost trying to jump the doctor's bones. And then they have that moment, and just like I would say a roller coaster or bungee jumping, at that moment they're like, oh, they're going to release me and I'm going to fall. So they kind of got into that awareness that here is the reality of where they're at, whereas it is not the romance and the fun anymore. But now here is the danger part. And will you survive? Kind of deal.
Yeah, no, and you know, hell, it would even be interesting. I don't know if Moffat would do this, or if anybody would do this, but it would be interesting. You know, thinking about it, I'd be curious to see what would happen if they were to ever bring back Tegan Javenka, who the reason she left was actually because of this. Yeah. You know, she told the doctor it's not fun anymore. You know, well, it would be interesting, you know, maybe for her to sit down with Clara and be like, you know, oh, how can you be with him when, you know, you've almost gotten killed, you know, and she can recount, you know, being chased by Cybermen, being chased by Daleks, being possessed, you know, and just asking Clara, you know, well, how can you still be here?
I'm sure Janet Fielding wants more money on that 50th anniversary, so.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's a lot of people, I think there's a lot of people who work on Doctor Who and a lot of people who watch Doctor Who want a lot of Doctor Who actors to be getting a paycheck.
Yeah. You know what I've just noticed? We've been talking about this show. You know, we've been talking on. We haven't mentioned something very important. We talked about the end of the story, but we didn't actually talk about the end of the story. The nuclear holocaust, the mutually assured destruction that was threatened.
I see that more of a device than a character to really focus on. It added to the fuel, the scenario, the situation, the danger, but we were more looking at the characterizations, how strong they were in that boat. They were all locked up in that boat, just like if I could use Alfred Hitchcock's Lifeboat, was that the movie?
Yeah.
Where everything is just, they're
much
tied in there and they've got nothing but themselves and they have to work themselves out. Whatever's going on outside that boat doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because right now what matters is inside this boat.
You know, the captain actually said that. He actually went ahead and said that and said, yeah, nothing matters but what's going on in here.
Right.
You know, and it's, so yeah, the whole thing of nuclear destruction, that's more of kind of a piece of it. You know, that's not the big focus on it. You know, it's something that just ended up coming with it, but it wasn't the big focus. You know?
Right, it just added to the stakes.
But
it wasn't
if it had happened, if the Doctor had failed and it had happened, you know, and actually Clara brings this up. You know, I know and it is something that happened back with Sarah Jane and the Tom Baker Doctor. You know, I'm from the future and I know that I'm okay. So, you know, it couldn't happen. And the Doctor, and he says here, you know, that time can be rewritten. But sometimes Stephen Moffat lets us know that time cannot be rewritten. And that was the whole point of the Doctor having to die after the Impossible Astronaut shot him. The Doctor's supposed to die because time could not be rewritten. And now they're flip-flopping again, and time can be rewritten.
You got to remember that in the RTD era, and then also this was used in the original series, that there are certain moments in time that are fixed
points
moments.
of time. Fixed points of time, exactly.
They have to happen the way they're supposed to.
Right.
You know, you can't deviate. But that the rest has a certain amount of flexibility. You know, it is possible that what we're dealing with here in Cold War was one of those moments where you could play around.
Right.
Well, you remember the Unquiet Dead when they're in that chamber, when they're locked up in that little dungeon thing, and the Doctor says you can be born in 1980-something and die in 1950-something. He's putting it out to Rose that this can happen.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though you're born in the future, you can die right now.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, and you know, you look at, and again, you know, you mentioned the Tom Baker, Sarah Jane era. In Pyramid of Mars, they actually do travel to a future where, if they did not succeed, the Earth was going to be destroyed.
That was the episode I was referring to.
Exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying. You actually just brought it up. Yeah. You know, you brought it up that it is possible for there to be a bad future if you start playing in a moment that is flexible, and that's what we had here, a flexible moment. And by the way, the thing is, using something like the Impossible Astronaut is kind of iffy, because if you remember, the Doctor was still able to cheat. He used an artificial, you know, one of those artificial bodies, and was able to shrink himself so that way the event still played out, but he was able to circumvent.
Right, but how do we know that wasn't how it always happened?
Well, see,
we don't know.
We don't know, but it does feel like the Doctor found a way to cheat and have events play out the way they're supposed to, but give a backdoor for him to come back.
Okay.
So, I mean, even when it looks like something is a fixed point, there may still be some way you can worm around. Just like going back to the fires of Pompeii, Ten and Donna were able to save at least one family from that destruction.
If we're really going into the Doctor Who psychology, I mean, we could go into the big Finnish audio he just at Scars.
Oh, yeah.
You know where I'm going with this, right?
I know where you're going. Continue, please.
Where the Valeyard has done all this damage throughout the universe, and not only that, but to himself. But he has to sit there and wait until the very end, where the universe and time has to refix everything that the Valeyard has done, including to himself. So it does have those devices of cheatingness. The Doctor who made it very aware in Father's Day was, I know what I'm doing. You don't. Right. You know, I know how to kind of cheat the time frame and get everything working out. And I even assumed that he might get through Father's Day with those guys over there. But, yeah, it is kind of a weird device. You can see it in other things.
It's very interesting that you brought up the Doctor Who Unbound series because of David Warner. David Warner, all the characters that Ed has been saying, he's also played the Doctor. He has played the Doctor in 2 stories, including Against the Daleks. Thank you, Nicholas Briggs, for showing up again. You know, I mean, it's all together. It's all timey-wimey, all comes together.
There you go. So, and I think also Trish, didn't you find out that at one point we would have had a Liam Cunningham Doctor?
Yes, he was up for the role in the '96 movie.
I got to admit, the way Liam Cunningham speaks, the way he talks like this, I think I would have liked a doctor to say this. I'm going to pull out the sonic screwdriver. Hopefully that will help. We're going now to the planet Skaro, where the Daleks.
I think it would have been much funnier if Daryl Hammond was playing the captain from Sean Connery time.
Go for it. Do it.
I'll take famous for 500.
Oh!
Hey, family show, Christian. Family show. Bad Christian.
Oh!
Bad Christian. Go sit in the corner.
I'm not putting an explicit warning on this label. He was talking about
family show.
bird.
Family show, Christian. Go sit in the corner. Go sit in the corner and think about what you did. Go think about what you did. Family show, man. They're kids listening. Okay, go sit in the corner. Bad Christian. Bad Christian. Bad boy.
At least he didn't. At least he didn't do the category of the pen is mightier.
Oh!
God! No, God! Thank God! Oh, thank God! Yeah, thank God.
Okay. You know what? I think on that note, we better stop. I think we're done with the Cold War. I think we need a full shower. What we need.
No, I think Christian needs the shower right now. He needs the shower. He needs a mouthful of soap.
Yeah, okay. I think we're going to stop our show there. That's all the time we have for this week. Next week we will be discussing the episode Hide, written by the same man who wrote the episode last week that disappointed us.
Oh God!
Really bad.
Oh God! Oh
no! Hopefully Hyde will be better. He did do the movie. He did write the movie Mama, which was a horror movie, and this is a horror episode. So maybe
I will say this. I did notice the last scene that they had at the end of the trailer had the doctor in what looks like a forest at night.
Right.
It looks like that's the scene where he says that line from the trailer of
"I'm scared.
I am the doctor, and I am frightened." Well, I have to say, in this particular case, if it's the same guy who wrote Rings of Akatan, I am Eduardo M Freyre, and I am frightened. Oh God, please don't suck again, please. Oh God, no. Oh God, no.
For comments on his fright, if you liked Rings of Akatan, contact us either at mark@mark-gattiss.com, or you can, at Geekcast Radio Network, you can comment on our site there, on our page there directly, or you could join our Facebook page, Mark-42's WHOniverse. Any of those places you can leave us messages. We'll even put you on the air. Maybe we'll have a special show. Featuring people who actually liked Rings of Akatan to get a different point of view across, because we were very negative last week, and I know there were some people who must have liked it. I mean, I'm guessing, right? There must have been a few.
Yes, if all three of you could come up right now and just say who you are.
If you come up and say who you are, we'll put you on our show. That's all the time we have for. We will see you. You will listen to us next week. Bye.
If there is to be a brave new Who, we must all live in it.
I'm talking to the spirit that inhabits this house.
Spooky.
You didn't come here for the ghost, did you?
Clara. What is she?
Do you feel like you're being watched?
You're coming. What? To find the ghost. Collarbone Gast. The maiden in the dark. The witch of the well.
She's coming. I think she's here.
Mark-42's WHOniverse has been written and presented by Mark Baumgarten, Patricia Helm, and Eduardo M Freyre, with Christian-basel. Audio and sound by Mark Baumgarten. This show was co-produced by Patricia Helm, Mark Baumgarten, and Eduardo M Freyre, and edited and directed by Mark Baumgarten. Doctor Who and its properties are owned by the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation. Please remember to rate us and to listen to us on iTunes and comment on our broadcast at geekcastradio.com. Tweet us at markwho42 and check out our Facebook page, markwho42's WHOniverse. We can be contacted by email at mark@markwho42.com. This podcast is owned and copyrighted by Mark Baumgarten et al. 2013.